Yes, so how this works is literally, we usually do a little bit of teaching for the first 20-30 minutes, and then we have like a hot seat session. So we have somebody on the hot seat today, and how the hot seat session works is you come with any questions just to do with your business, with your visibility. We ask questions, we answer questions, we might create a plan of action, and people can listen in, and if people have any suggestions, they can add their suggestions as well. So that's how it works, but it's very focused on that one person for about 20 to 30 minutes. So it's like your own little one-to-one support that you get. All right, so that's how it works. So today we're going to be talking about the follow-up. And although, and like I said in the video, although when I was going through it in my mind, I was thinking about follow-up in terms of how do you follow up with a publication if you haven't heard back. I don't know if Anna is on at the moment, but Anna, she had sent out an email to a publication and to a journalist, and she hasn't heard back, and she wanted to know how long, you know, does it take? When should you respond back? So we're going to talk about that. But if you have any questions in terms of like other types of follow-up, we can definitely explore that as well. So I am going to share my screen, and then we should get started. I've got lots of stuff in the background. Right, guys, can you see my screen? Awesome, awesome, awesome. And if you've got any questions at all during this teach, feel free to put your hands up. Now, because obviously when I'm presenting, I can't see everybody, or you can put your comments in the comment box, and I'm going to come back to them, because part of this is lots of Q&As as well. Any questions that you have around the follow-up. So this is what we're talking about, the art of follow-up, and why it's important. So this is what we're going to look at today, why it's important to follow up. Look, I'm going to give you some follow-up templates, and I'm going to make sure that they're available for everybody in the resources hub. And then we have our hot seat session and any Q&As. So it's very simple. You'll all be off by 2 o'clock, because I know people have lives to live. So my question to you guys is, do you follow up? So when I say this, let's be very focused. When you send out an email to a publication, if you've done this already, if you've pitched, do you follow up? And how long do you take to follow up? Or if you haven't done that, let's say if you pitched to do some work for a company, or if somebody's asked about your services, do you follow up? And what's your process? So that's what I want to know, what your process is. So I'm going to stop for now so that I can see your faces. Feel free to put your virtual hand up. So let me just hear about some of your own experiences. What works for you? What doesn't work? What issues do you have around follow-up? Let's have a look. Okay, so Nicola said she doesn't follow up because it makes her feel pushy. Okay, fair enough. I've heard that. Any more comments? Feel free to unmute yourself as well. It's very informal teaching, so feel free to jump in.
If it's a client, I always ask them about the follow-up in the call. So I always say, at what point should I come back to you if I've not heard anything? So that way I don't, and then when I get back, I remind them, you said I should call you after 2 weeks or whatever it is. And then that's what I do.
Yeah, so that works really well. If it's like a potential client or a sales, it may be slightly different, I guess, if it's for a publication, because they're always so busy and they get so many emails. They don't keep an ongoing conversation. So if you said, so that works well with sales, as you said, Judith, but if you try to use that same strategy for a publication, they're not going to come back to you and say, oh, I'll let you know at the end of the week. They just won't do it. They just don't have time. But we've got to go through ways that we can mitigate that. So any more, how do you guys just follow up with the conversation?
Sorry, Michelle, can I butt in as well?
Oh, there you are, Smoothie, yeah?
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes what I do get, I'm finding problems is sometimes you see when you're getting clients or you're addressing that, though a generic email is given, but you're not getting the right person whom you should catch up with, yeah? So it's very difficult to know whether that's the right person, or when you're addressing, they say, no, you passed on to different department. So that's where the problems are.
Yeah, knowing the right person, that's really important. And even with publications, knowing the right people, whether you should be following up with the editor, with the sub-editor, the contributor, whoever. So that's really important. That's good. Let me make a note of some of these. Anything else, guys? What has Marie said? I prefer to send a voice note, okay, and a call over a text or email. It's more personal and doesn't seem copied and pasted. That's a good idea, Marie. So Marie said that, so obviously that's for a client or a potential client. You'll send like a voice note. I do the same thing as well. I think it's much more personalized. Any other takers? Angie said ditto. And quicker, yeah, it's quicker. It's actually quicker to talk than to, don't we know this, Marie? It's quicker to talk and say what you want to get across. And plus they hear the personality and they hear the character that comes through. Whereas sometimes the email process is quite formal, quite cold.
And you can hear the tone as well. Sometimes it can sound like you're being arsey when you're not, you're being genuine. But yeah, that's why I like talking.
Yeah, definitely. And more personal. Thank you for that, Veronica. Yeah, so definitely. So if we look at it in two camps, and I'm covering two camps because I know that many of you may not have been in a position where you follow up as yet. So when you're follow up when it comes to publications, when you're following up when it comes to business, it's always good to set the agreement. So when you're speaking to them and if they need to think about something, always say, when will be a good time to come back to you? Or when you ask that, you'll notice that they'll say things like, I'm not sure, Friday, you don't have time for that. So you could be assertive and just say, would Monday be a good time before 12 p.m? Something like that. So you're being the assertive one rather than getting them to think and they're not really free on that Friday and they're saying it to, you know, so that you don't call back. So be assertive and, you know, give them a time and just find out from them if that works for them and make sure you do call or send a message or whatever you're going to do at that time. But when we're looking at publications now, or the media, or let's use publications, that strategy doesn't always work, literally because they're very busy. They don't have time to do a ping pong, oh, come back then and let's hear, because usually they're working to very strict and quick deadlines. So I'm going to show you now, let me show my screen again. I'm going to show you now how we can make that work. So this is why, even when you have pitched to a publication or you've responded to a journal request, why it's important to still follow up, because maybe they've missed or overlooked your email. They get hundreds upon hundreds, so they probably haven't even seen it. So you may resend another email and say, just in case you've missed my first email responding to your journal request, or just in case you overlooked or missed my first email, I wanted to contribute to your publication. That's the type of tone and the direction your follow-up email. And also the initial subject matter may need amending. Now I've put that in because let's give an example. If you were pitching health and wellness and your first topic was health and wellness contributor, or I can contribute to a health and wellness article, that may not have been appealing to that journalist. But when you send your follow-up, I would always say to use a different subject line, still around health and wellness, but something else that might make them perk up and take stock of your message and your email. So the initial subject matter may need to be amended slightly to get a higher open rate. So that's another reason. And the last one is an opportunity to provide a little further insight. So in your follow-up email, you might say, hi, I sent you an initial email on this date. You may have overlooked it because you're busy, but I just wanted to also add further content to that I think this bit is going to be vital to your readers. So it allows you the opportunity to add more content or to provide further insight. So I want everybody, if they have done any pitching as yet, you probably haven't, not everybody has, I want you to take note that don't take it personally, first and foremost, if you don't hear anything back, because it's very, very common. It's actually more common not to hear anything back than to hear something. That's the first thing. All right. So, oh, my thing's going funny. Yeah. And so, and part of that, I want you to, yeah, so you don't take it personally, and always think that these people are super uber busy. So if they even open your email and respond and said, oh, I really like what you've got to say, let's jump on a call, or can you respond answering these questions, you have to do it quickly. It's the speed of implementation. Yeah, it's the speed. You have to be very responsive and very quick. And one of the things I found that has helped me is I track my pitches. So on the Profile Builder Challenge, we talked about just making sure you keep a record. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need a software. You can just keep an Excel sheet of you've sent an email to this person on this date, who the person is and their email address. So you can just track how often you're contacting them. And when you should do your follow-up, because you don't want to follow up 2 days or 3 months or whatever. You want to have a date. And then plus in your email, you can say, oh, I sent you an email on this date. So if they want to check back, they can just look in their emails. So always track your pitches. So now let's look at the follow-up, and then I'll take some more questions. So I've put this first follow-up email, and this is based on what my experience is, and also based on the industry experience of what they do. So your very first follow-up email could look like that. Hi, editor's name. And it says, hi, editor's name. I hope you're well. I'm just checking in to see if my pitch below about what it is of interest. Thanks. It could be something as simple as that. Or you could also add in the date. I'm checking in to see if my pitch about working from home is of interest. I sent this on whatever date. That's all you have to do. This is your first follow-up email. So I would advise with publications, don't send more than 2. There's no exact science. There isn't an exact science. So I would say probably 1 follow-up email and probably another one, which I'm going to show you. So that's one example. Keep it really simple, really high level. Don't go into details because they've got all the details in the original. And what you can do is when you send this email, you can also attach the original email, see below. So that they don't need to go trawling through all their hundreds and thousands of emails to find yours. You've added it to this email thread. So it makes it easier. We want to make their life easier so that we can be featured and then make our life easier, all right? So here's another one. So your second, and I call it your second and last email, could look like this. Hi, editor's name. Hope you're having a great start to the week. This is one that I've used. I'm emailing to see whether you've had a chance to consider my pitch below. I'm keen to write the story for publication, but I know you're incredibly busy. If it's not of interest, please don't feel you have to reply. If I don't hear from you by Friday, and you can put the date, I'll look to pitch it elsewhere, and I'll be in touch for future pitches. So I want to draw your attention to the last few lines. If it's not of interest, please do not feel that you have to reply. This is giving them permission so they don't have to reply, but you're letting them know that if they don't hear from you by a certain date, you're going to pitch that article elsewhere. And I say this because some publications don't want you to be pitching the same story or the same message to 2 different publications. So at least you're giving them a deadline, And also you're letting them know that if I don't hear from you, I'm going to pitch it elsewhere. Then you're free to pitch it elsewhere, basically. So you're giving them that buffer. So that's one of the ways that we would definitely look to do. So let me see if there's any questions. Let me stop sharing. So any questions on that so far, guys? In terms of what you should put in your first, how I'm going to go over how often, in terms of when you should be doing it. Any other questions? Let's see. Oh, there you go. How soon should you send the second? Don't worry, that's the next part. You read my mind, Veronica. Any other questions? Don't want to miss anything. Let me double check. Okay, good. Let's continue. Good. So here's a couple of questions that I usually get asked. What if I've pitched elsewhere because the first publication had not got back to me? So this happens, like, for example, when you haven't actually told them that you're going to pitch it somewhere else. So I would say let the, oh God, it's gone funny. Sorry, guys. Go back, go back. Let's try this again. So this usually happens when you haven't told the guys, you haven't told the editors that you're going to use it elsewhere. But I always say, if you, so I pitched to HR Zone, and I also was going to use the same pitch at People Management magazine, 2 different magazines pitching the same thing. So HR Zone actually picked it up, and then I went back to People Management. I said, oh, guys, just to let you know that the idea that I pitched to you originally on a certain date, another magazine has picked it up, but thank you for showing interest. That's it. I've actually gone back to them to let them know, literally, because what happens, although you've pitched to that publication, and they haven't come back to you in your time frame, they may want to use that same pitch later. So it's always good practice to go back to them and let them know that one that I sent to you, I've actually pitched it elsewhere, but I'm still available if anything else comes up. I think it's courtesy. You don't have to do it. I do it because I want to, the publications, the niche publications I write for, sometimes you have similar contributors who write for both publications. I want to be kept in, you know, I want to be kept top of mind, somebody who writes for these magazines, who shows respect. Let us know if we're not going to use, if somebody else is going to use the publication. So I think it might be worth doing that if somebody else has already taken your pitch and you're writing for another publication. All right, so that's to bear in mind. So how many times is too many times to follow up on a pitch? So I said, it depends, and it varies from one publication to another. However, 1 to 2 follow-ups and waiting 1 to 2 weeks is the industry standard. You can follow up after a week or after 2 weeks, but after 2 weeks after that, it's not worth following up. They've probably moved on. They've probably got other things that they're working on. So I would say 1 to 2 weeks and do about 2 follow-ups. Once again, you've got to think about your own time. You've got other things that you want to be doing. So you don't want to be spending all your time chasing a publication that's never going to write a story about you, never going to get you to contribute, never going to use an extract for you. So you want to really be conscious and aware of your own time, and also of the editor's time as well. So I say 1 to 2 follow-ups, no more than 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, just move on. Yeah, just move on. So let's stop sharing. So let me hear any questions at the moment. Should you send the pictures which don't relate? Okay, so great question from Rushi. Thank you. She's asked, should you send pictures which do not relate to your business? You can do. You can do. Now, people normally think I should only write for a magazine that specializes in my area or anything to do with my business, but there's ways in. There's definitely ways in. And plus, you can write for a magazine. It's not got anything to do with your business, but you might have an expertise on it. You might have some knowledge on it. So you can still write for it. Because remember as well, Rushi, it's not just, and for these publications, sometimes they just want to comment. You can probably comment on anything, right? And you can base it on your experience. You can base it on somebody else's experience. Because right now we want to get as much eyeballs on our content in publications, on digital publications, because it increases our digital footprint. So if somebody Googles your name, they can say, oh, you've written for that magazine, or you've been contributed for another. So it doesn't all have to relate to your business. As long as you've got some expertise and some knowledge around that area, you can write for them. Because what happens, people can circle back. They might see what you've written and think, oh, she's written for that one as well. And they want to check you out. Then they want to they'll get onto Google, type in your name, find your website and check you out. So it's just another way to get traffic more to your website. Another way to raise your profile. Okay, brilliant. That's right, I like that, Nicola. So pitching for things that have a personal twist. Claire said, what is the point of following up if the deadline for the pitch has, okay, so Claire, where are you? Let me see where you are. Yeah, so Claire, the reason why, because that deadline might have passed, but it doesn't mean they can't use what you've said for something else. That's why. It doesn't mean, so they may have a specific deadline for that particular article. Let's put it this way. I'm putting out lots of stuff around diversity and inclusion. So I have pitched to a magazine, their deadline may have been passed, but they still got access to my email where I was saying that I can write for that magazine. So although that deadline is pitched, diversity and inclusion is an ongoing subject. So it may not be right for them for this one, but it could be for another. Or they might do a campaign on something and want to bring in my ideas. So that's why it may be still worth just following up even after the deadline, because your content of your email will change slightly. It's just like, I know the deadline is gone, but if anything else comes up within this topic, within this theme, I'm more than happy to still put myself forward. Yeah, brilliant, good. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself if you've got any other questions on that. And also, in terms of, remember what I said about subject lines? I think it's definitely worth it, because some journalists will open up an email based on what it says in the subject matter. So I think there's something there that Simone and I can explore for you guys in terms of what are the top 50 subject matters that get editors to open up and read. What do you think? Sounds like a good idea. Thumbs up, yeah? It's definitely, because I've got some stuff for you. I actually got it from, she's an editor, and she put together this list, and I was part of her group. So I'm gonna get access to that, and I'm gonna share it with you lot. I'm going to share it with you. And it was really good, some really good stuff. And what she did, she divided it in terms of industry. She divided it also in terms of urgency. She divided it into different things. So I'm going to dig it out, and I'll work with Simone to put it together, and we probably can just give it to you, or we'll do something, yeah? So I think that would be really good, because subject matters are really, really important. Yeah. I noticed when my emails don't get opened, there's like a crap subject matter. So, but yet the content was good, but they didn't get to see it because of the subject line. Brilliant. Okay, last few questions before we move to our hot seat. Any other questions? It could be any questions around follow-up in business as well. Like how often should you follow up from a sales pitch if you're pitching your services? How long? I usually still do the week to 2 weeks. I just use that as a rule of thumb, but I try and make it very, very informal. So I would say, like, I'm following up with somebody later today, and I'm just literally going to send her a message and say, hi, I sent you the proposal. What did your boss think about it? Is there anything I need to change? Anything I need to amend? I'm happy to negotiate. That's what I'm going to put. Just keep it very high level, because I can win her over if I talk to her. My written proposal will only do half the job. So I'm happy to have those conversations. You sell more via conversations. So that's why getting people on the phone is brilliant, is the way. So Claire, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Hi. I can talk quicker than I can type. So I've been doing this online nativity show and with kids, right? And so I've been filming children, doing training with children, and one of the journalists has picked it up. It's a nice feel-good story, connecting families, bringing a bit of Christmas sparkle into your home, all the rest of it. She said, it sounds amazing. Can you send me a video of what you're doing so I can get a feel for it and all the rest of it? So I thought about this, and one of the things that I'd said to the parents at the beginning is that, you know, when we're going through the training, that this is a safe space where the kids can make their mistakes and all the rest of it. So actually, on the day when I'm doing the show, there are lots of safeguarding things in place. I'm monitoring very carefully who the invited guests are. They have to be referred by people who are taking part in the show and all the rest of it. I didn't feel comfortable just sending this journalist a video of me teaching various kids, right, whose parents I haven't necessarily got permission from, just so she can look at it to go, oh, I'm going to run the story or I'm not. It's like, I don't actually know who this person is, who she could send these videos to. So I actually got back to her because my integrity is, to me, is more important than my fame, right? I got back to her and I said, you know, for safeguarding issues, I actually feel that I can't send you a video at this time. Like, the thing is, when we do the show, the kids are going to be in costume. There's not going to be family names. There's just going to be the names of like Mary, Joseph, Angel One kind of thing. Like, people can't trace who they are. So I said, but what I can do is I can send you a screenshot where the children's names aren't shown, so you can see kind of like how we're getting into the mood, into the spirit of it. And she just basically emailed me back and she said, no, I need a video. Obviously nothing will be shared without parents' consent, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, no, this is going against, for me, I've done safeguarding, I've done invigilating, I've done years in education. This feels too uncontained for me. So I just wondered if you could help me navigate that a little bit.
I think, to be fair, Claire, I think you've done the right thing. And we should not be selling our souls for any type of fame or any type of media. Integrity first, doing the right thing first at all times. And I think you've done the right thing. And you know what? It could be for Forbes. You just need to make sure that if depending on their time scale, another option could have been let me speak to a couple of the parents of, you know, who's in the kids who are involved. Sorry, someone's at my door. To speak to speak to the parents and then just find out what they think, and then you could probably do it. But even then, you just don't know where it could go. You just don't know. And under GDPR, it could be sent anywhere. Oh no, I think you did the right thing. I think there's nothing to navigate there. You've done the right thing. And I think it's actually a reminder to us all that sometimes we're going to be asked to do things or say things or comment on things. And if you don't feel comfortable about it, then don't do it. Then don't do it at all. I've been in a situation more recently where I've been asked for comment on how I felt about, this new Sainsbury's advert. You know, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a big furore about the Sainsbury's advert having a black family, and there was lots of negative feedback. And somebody asked, and I had my own opinions, but not all of my opinions I want to be shared. So I declined from commenting on that. So you have to pick your battles. And know which ones you feel comfortable to be a part of and to speak and to have your name attached to, and some that you don't. So Claire, I think you did the right, and there'll be other opportunities as well anyway. The fact that one of them picked it up, that means that's good enough for other people to show, other publications to show an interest in it.
Yeah, and I'd rather be known kind of for my integrity and for other families to feel safe to work with me, to support their kids and to elevate their children, to do these amazing things. And actually, I don't mind saying to them, you know, I turned down a journalist, I turned down a PR opportunity because I'm putting your children's safety ahead of that. And I think actually they'll end up being cheerleaders for me more perhaps because of that than for pitching for a publication. I don't know. It didn't feel quite right.
Yeah, I think you did the right thing there. Good for you. Definitely good for you. Brilliant.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Anything? Right, so Nicola, I think you said at the beginning you don't like to feel pushy. So how many people feel like when they're, I mean, I felt like that as well sometimes when I'm, you know, going, why have you not bought it? Buy it. Why are you not taking my services? It is that feeling. I wonder, where do you think it comes from? If you know your services are good, if you know your services has the power to transform somebody's lives, do you not feel that you're doing a disservice if you do not push, but encourage change? So it's almost a perspective change. That's what I had to do. I had to see, it's not me pushing my thing on them. It's I know that if they implement even 50% of what I say, it's going to make such a massive difference. And I'll be doing them a disservice if I don't even try. For me, I had to have that perspective change. I don't know, guys, how you think. Yeah, Veronica said it's a behaviour. What's your feelings? Angie?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Veronica. I think a lot of it comes back from the programs that were given when we were kids. You know, shut up. You know, nobody wants to hear you. Who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah.
You know, and the biggest one, you know, don't be big-headed. And that was massive for me growing up. As you know, I had brothers, but I didn't have any sisters, and I was brought up to just cook and clean. And I didn't, you know, to have aspirations to be self-employed and step outside the box was huge, in the sense of, you know, being not condemned, that's the wrong word, but felt like it, you know, that I was going against what I should have been doing, so to speak. But I think a lot of it comes from when we're kids and we're not taught that we have a voice and we can use our voice to help other people. But it certainly stopped me for a long time standing out.
Yeah, it does. And I think, and Nicola makes a good point as well. She said that when they're ready for your services, people do come back, and people do come back to you when they want your services. But there's also that person who they actually don't have the time, or they've forgotten. But if you sent that extra email, they would have bought. I've lost out on contracts because I didn't follow up, because I was like so in my own head, oh my God, what will they think? And I've lost contracts. So even though I'm speaking to you guys now, there's somebody that I need to follow up with today, which I'm going to, because literally I know she must be thinking, why hasn't that person chased me? We had a conversation, but she hasn't even got back in touch with me. I feel the same way. I was looking for a new accountant, for example, and I told them what I was looking for, and they said that they'll get back to me, and they hadn't followed up with me. And I'm thinking, so do I really want to work with somebody who doesn't want my money, who doesn't want my business? So if you turn it around on its head, those people who you haven't followed up with, who you think, yeah, they'll just come back to me when they're ready, they probably are ready, but they're waiting for that and one more email from you, or one more call. You know,
one extreme or the other, isn't there?
It is.
I mean, I've got people that really hack me off because they constantly message or constantly email. And I've had to unsubscribe and things. Yeah. And I worry that I'm turning into that person by doing that, which is why I hold back a bit. But then, for example, I text message a chap who's definitely interested in buying from me. I text messaged him last week. I gave it a few days. I texted him again, only because I knew he was interested and he was going to buy. I didn't hear anything. So this morning I called him and he goes, "Oh, Marie, I'm so sorry. You need to keep chasing me." So some people will blatantly say you need to keep chasing, and everyone's different. So you've got to, but just not every day.
Can I mention something on this? Because I'm one of these people that would follow up like crazy. And like if you see even the way I market, we send an email a day to our list. We have bots, messenger bot, text messages, you name it. Like if I can send you a pigeon, I even send you a pigeon or a fox. I would, trust me. And the reason why I do it, and I think it's so important, it is because when you're in business, you're always in there for the long game. And the majority of your leads and clients will convert 6 to 12 months down the line. That's the large majority. And so if you're always looking for that conversion, there's just like a lot of statistics have been done. About 3% of the people that you are actively targeting or you're making offers will buy straight away. Then you will have another 20 to 30% that will buy within 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And so if you don't do that, now you're only focusing on that part. But if you're looking for client, right now we went into clients, but you're only focusing on that small part who is ready to buy right now. And the amount of people that bought from me like 3-4 years after, and they send me an email and say, hey, I've been on your list for the past 4 years, never interacted with me, never sent me an email, never sent me a message, never bought anything. And then out of the blue, they were ready to drop a few grand. So it is part of business. And if someone doesn't want to be in your email list or it doesn't want to get in touch, there is nothing wrong for them to unsubscribe. If you think about the people you unsubscribe to, most of the time are things that you're not really interested in anyway. So when we are unsubscribing, if I'm thinking about, if I'm really interested in something or someone, I'll stay there on their list. The others, if I'm not really interested or I'll just check it out, no problem, I'll unsubscribe. So focus on the subscriber more than that. And talking it on journalist level, then journalists are super busy. They got hundreds and hundreds of pitches that are coming in every single day. Like if you don't follow up, like you literally have very, 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 very little chances to get featured. So just wanted to add that point because it is a topic I'm really passionate about. And then I'll keep shutting up.
And I just wanted to show actually one last example with you before we move on to the hot seat. Linda, I think it was you, Linda, you tagged me into something on Twitter for a journo request. So, and then you sent me a message to check it out. So what happened, and you don't even know this, Linda, I said to you, oh, thank you. I went onto Twitter, totally forgot that you told me to respond to this person. So I hadn't. And then I saw it in the thread, and I said to the person, "Oh, apologies, I might have missed the deadline because this is like a week ago now. But if you're still looking for a HR professional, I'm more than happy to contribute." So I said that, and I left it. And what happened? About a few days later, the lady got in touch with me. This is now a week and 3 days past the deadline. She said, no, we've extended the deadline, and I would really love to have your thoughts on the HR trends for 2021. And I gave her my answers straight away. There was about 5 questions, and she said, brilliant, Michelle, this is so quick, we love it. Now can you send me a headshot, send me details of how people can contact you? So that's going to be now featured in one of these trade magazines. And this is from somebody who missed the deadline, but because I went to apologize for missing the deadline, I still got in. So, you know, it's just sometimes it's keeping the dialogue open. That's what it is. So it may not be fit for purpose now, it could be fit for purpose later, but keep those dialogues open, all right? It's a people thing. It's a people thing. So guys, let me just take that. If you don't ask, that's right. If you don't ask, you don't get. Brilliant. Guys, thank you for that. I want you to stay on. We've got 20 minutes, and I want to do, for the last 20 minutes, this is how the hot seat session works. So I reach out to different people at different times, and I want to find out from them where they are in their journey, if they need support, if they need guidance, and we use this as like a live coaching session. So, and you will learn a lot from this because some of you might be in the same position, and then you can just grab the information and run with it, which is even great. And if you want to contribute to the discussion, you can do. So our hot seat session person today is Rushi. Hello, Rushi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
So
Thank you, Michelle.
I want you to introduce yourself to everybody, tell everybody what you do, and I want you to keep it succinct. And we've got, and don't worry, we've got to really refine messaging on the 25th. At the beginning, we're going to test our messaging with people, but I want you to share, introduce yourself, share your message, and then fire me any questions you have.
Right. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Ruchi Pathak Kaul, and I'm a facial surgeon by profession. following surgery, I took up entrepreneurship in the same subject that I got interested in, and that is 3D printing, which is medical 3D printing, which means that utilizing technology for performing surgeries so that you can make surgeries better for patients. So my focus has always been patient care. I'm very clear about that part. So I always want that if technology is going to its heights, it should deliver the best care. But as I went forward, that was not being delivered. I realized that doctors did not know about this technology and they were not delivering this technology to the patient, though there were many more technologies coming up. So then I framed up this company, which was a service-based company in India. Now, after that, I came here last year in the UK, and I didn't know what to do because my degrees are not valid here as a surgeon. And so I kind of got into the social media, which I had not been getting through. And then I positioned myself as if I was a thought leader kind of a person who could actually help in the penetration of technology. And I started my personal podcast. The podcast is completely based on surgeons in 3D printing, which is completely based on interviews with the top institutes of the world. I took up Mayo Clinic. I took up Brazil. There is a person doing the same in Brazil. I took up Portugal. I took up different places in US, in the UK, and then University Hospital Basel. I talked to people in Imperial College. And so I had different surgeons answering that question. Now I am looking into kind of positioning myself at the right place because I have been lecturing for the last few months on different international platforms on 3D printing. And so my message is that technology is the way forward and it has to be delivered to the people who need it.
I love that. So technology is the way forward. So tell me, so what particular challenges do you have? Because it's a big change, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So a couple of people saying, well done for the pivot. Well, yeah, it's a massive change. So you do 3D printing and you want to position. So what do you want to position yourself as? What do you want to be known as?
So what I feel that I want to be the person who can penetrate this into the surgical community, because in general, I would say that surgeons would not like other people to enter their community, and it's very difficult to penetrate that community. It's not easy, and I'm very sure Linda has a very good experience about that. So then that's where I want to get in because I am of the same community, and I very well know it's difficult to trust people there. And because I have a trust, which is because of my profession, I can get that done in no time. I have been doing it in India now, and we've started working with that. I talked to a lot of doctors here in the UK, and I realized they did not know anything about this technology.
That's what you're doing.
Just mute somebody.
Yeah. So I felt that I should work on this. This is like something which is very passionate and close to my heart now.
Definitely. So, okay. So what have you done so far?
Right. So for the past 6 years, I've been working with this technology where there were defects, there were accidental cases where the mid-face region, like this region of the patient was injured and it was in a very bad shape. And I kind of placed implants, 3D printed implants, personalized implants, like one implant for each patient or maybe 2 implants into each patient's face and sort of recreated their faces and got it all delivered in a very short period of time, which was otherwise not possible for the same patient, and that too absolutely free. That I included as a part of my PhD so that the patient gets the benefit of the technology being free.
So how many people know that you do this and that you've done what you've just said in terms of the people that you're trying to attract? So you want to position yourself in that particular industry as a leader in 3D printing?
Yeah, exactly. Or as a person who can help in the penetration. So I want to be a liaising person between the industry and the medical fraternity. It's like, helping this penetration happen.
I like that. Okay. All right. And so in terms of within your industry, let's look at publications and then we can look at different forms of media, but are there any particular publications that you know that somebody like you of your caliber and of your standing should be featured in?
Somebody else?
No, somebody like you. So my question to you is, are there any magazines, any publications or, any form of media that you know that you should be a part of? You should be there because somebody like you with your expertise should be seen in.
Right. So basically, if I talk of completely the medical fraternity, it is more of scientific publications. I do have like some 14, 15 publications already done and a few coming in, but they are all purely scientific. Now, if you talk of visibility, it has nothing to do with visibility.
Okay.
It is, yeah, because visibility comes like something more related to social media. And as I said, I entered social media just a couple of months before and trying to do that. So I think I still need to explore more magazines. They could be like anything like Forbes or maybe some kind of TED Talks wherein, you know, you kind of position yourself. That's what I realized.
So how would you relate what you do to a business magazine? A business or lifestyle magazine like Forbes? Because you said something, you said like scientific publications won't, that's not for visibility, social media is for visibility, but it depends on where you want to be visible. Do you want to be visible in your industry, which then the scientific magazines, the medical magazines, or do you want to be visible in the wider world? So that means you want to be featured on other magazines as well, not just your niche publications.
Right. So for my niche publications, I'm already working, and I would say that that is growing now with time because I am publishing, and it has a publication period. Like every magazine takes, like a good magazine takes like around 8 to 10 months to publish one single paper. So it's like a process. But when it comes to the visibility in terms of the entire visibility, I would say it's very important because a lot of people don't even know about 3D printing. And that was the reason to start a podcast. But I was suggested by somebody in the group, and that was a very good suggestion, that the podcast becomes a little behind the scenes stuff. You should come more upfront in the you know, the media. So that is something I really felt that, yeah, that will help people at least to know first. You need to hear it so many times to actually imbibe something.
And I think as well, what you do in terms of get to the wider world, this is just my opinion, I think something about talking. So you've got the podcast, but actually speaking engagements as well. I think probably speaking engagements, if you've already capitalized the publications in your niches, like speaking at like big events where people hear what you've got to say, then you can, you know, obviously show them with some videos or some images of what you do. So have you considered looking at some speaking engagements?
So I have spoken in Germany, which is one of the very big platform for the 3D printing, which is called Formnext. I spoke last month on Formnext, which really gave me a lot of visibility. I am also speaking in one of the prestigious platform in New Delhi, which is from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in the first week of December. So there are a couple, but these are all conferences where you have these medical people there. Yeah. So those are the ones I do have.
Yeah. So I guess if you want to go out to a wider audience, not just medics or people
exactly
medical, you have to relate what you're doing to them. That's the thing, because you're already known within the medical field, which is brilliant. But once again, that's in your industry. If you want to go to a wider industry, let's say if there was a business event, how can you relate what you're doing to a business event? Or how can you relate what you're doing to Forbes magazine? I think it's brilliant for Forbes, you know, these kind of things. How can you relate it? What synergies are there between what you do and people like me or people like Angie or, you know, or Jan?
Right.
How does it relate?
So I think I should talk more about like the benefits to the patients, the benefits to the people actually when they get this, when they are treated through this technology. Because so then the doctors might be, you know, they would have to go if the patient is aware. So if you are aware as a patient or as a person, maybe some of your friend might need it, some other person might need it, then you will want the doctor, you will ask the doctor, I would want to get treated via this technology. And then I think that is another way of doing it.
I like that. So the benefits to 3D print. Now, does 3D printing,
but technology in general,
printing technology, is that only specific if something's happened to your face?
No. It's for all the region of your body. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that opens it up because then it's just for any parts of your body that.
Yes.
And does the technology help enhance?
Yes, it not only enhances is the least one. I think it's more, first of all, it is your survival thing, you know. Face is the ambassador of our body. And if the face is damaged, and that's the reason when I worked on the face, I found that quality of life of the patient improved drastically.
Nice. Oh, I like the sound of that. Okay, just writing down some notes. Yeah, I'm writing down some notes because I think you have a one-to-one session with me, book, so I can start getting my brain thinking. A couple of comments that I want to share with some people are saying, which are brilliant. Jan Peters was saying, asking if you're connected to the Medical Research Council, and are there any technology transfer communities there?
Okay, so I'm not. Okay. I'm not yet connected, and that's what I'm looking at, what to do next to kind of get connected to the right people.
Good. So we'll make a note of that, and then in our one-to-ones we can find a strategy on how to get in there. And then Leela has said, actually, let me just admit someone. Leela has said, what about the BBC for science-focused programs?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, the point is that I'm not aware of this, and I will be copying the whole chat. And I will, yes, and I will literally look deep into that, because I had not been really great at social media. And I started my Facebook account just a few months back, and my LinkedIn account just a year back. So
do you do any videos just on Facebook or LinkedIn where you're just educating people? There
not yet.
A lot of people who don't know anything about it, but just having that educational piece to hear out more, they'll be keen, they might know other people.
I haven't yet done, yeah. I think I'll take a note of that.
Yeah. So you've got the BBC, you've got also the British Medical Council, or no, Medical Research Council. So put that one down as well. Thank you, guys. This is what it's all about. Any other comments, feel free to put them in. The public needs to know. Yeah, brilliant.
Richie, I've got an idea.
Yeah, go for it.
Why don't you think of big films and refer them? So like Face Off, that John Travolta did, you could say, remember Face Off, where people swapped faces? Well, now the technology is almost there. 3D, boom. You know, so there's lots of films. $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
Remember that? You can do this. So I would go to like the film genre and say, isn't it funny that, you know, life mirrors art type thing, and then use that as a thing, because then you can also put it into groups where people are fans, that you can tweet it out, and journalists might quite like the idea, especially like Face Off. It was a huge film, and it's really like, it's all about swapping your face. It's a great lead onto that.
And that's a really
thank you so much.
Really
thank you, Judith.
And because then it relates it also to it makes it really tangible. It makes it, I don't think tangible is the right word, but it's what is that word I need? Because it's to do with TV and film, so there's a common.
It's relatable, isn't it?
It's relatable. Yeah. Brilliant. That's so good.
Also, I was going to type it, but it was coming out all wrong, so I've stopped typing. Also, like, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but in the news, when there's been like a horrific accident, or, you know, maybe someone famous has had something awful done, or something like long ago in the past where something's happened to someone, where you could say, well, with this would have been great, and we could have done this to them.
Yeah, I like that idea, but how do I get the, you know, for all of this to show this actually pictorially, I need some scans. So how do I get that?
So in terms of the research that you've done and the work that you've done, is there any example scans that you can use that you can show and showcase?
Yes.
You almost want to create a portfolio of your work. That's what you definitely want to do. So when you're doing your videos, when you're speaking to someone, if we can get you interviewed by the BBC, there could be some portfolio. They want to see what you've done. So there must be like some sort of portfolio that you can utilize, as long as you've got permission. So that might be worth gathering those evidence as well.
Right.
And I'm just trying to think as well. And you know, I don't know if you know her. This is part of like pop culture as well. There's a lady by the name of Katie Piper. Katie Piper, I think some acid was thrown on her face like years ago. But she has used that to help her in terms of media appearances. So she's had like skin grafting done and all sorts done. Now she advertised on Pantene, she's on lots of TV stations. So you could utilize her as an example. And so as an option, instead of doing regrafting, this is what the 3D printing could have made. It could be like, you could even create a project around that as well. We could even try and reach out to Katie Piper. Oh my God, that would be good. I'm gonna write that down. Why not? We can find out who her agent is, and this is what you want to do. Remember what we were talking about in terms of PR by association to raise your visibility. Look at people who have had some sort of reconstruction done. We can find her details. We can just reach out and say, listen, this is, you know, we say, you know, my name is Rushi, this is what I do. Just want to speak to you about your reconstruction, and I want to just see how that would line up if we did like use 3D printing technology. We've got nothing to lose, right? Yeah. And then to be associated with her, she's doing a huge amount of work. She's on TV. These are good associations also to raise your visibility as well.
Yeah, I think this really sounds great. Could you also give me some ideas on how I can use my podcast for, you know, because that is something which is already ongoing, and I do have video sequences as well, but right now I've only kind of delivered the audio work. Yeah,
so even with the podcasting, you can take clips from your podcast and you can repurpose them on your social media. I don't know if you have an email list. You can start sending out little clips to your email list. There is another app. If you didn't want to do video, there's an app called I'll tell you, it's called Hello Audio. And Hello Audio allows you to strip just the audio, and then you can just send it out, and it divides it into modules for you as well. So you can like create a course, which is just audio, and you can take the content from your podcast. So that's Hello Audio you can use as well. And also with your podcast, I'm just trying to think how else you can repurpose that, apart from using social media, your email list.
Should I have a separate website in terms of the work that I'm doing? Because right now I just have one website, which is my podcast website. It is by the name of my podcast. Okay. So I don't have any website which is only like, you know, if somebody wants to search me, when they search me, they'll find the website of my podcast.
And the podcast website is only about your podcast, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, so it might be worth it. I think it's always worth having some place where someone can go to find out more. So whether it's just an Instagram page, whether it's just a Wix website, whatever it is, I think there should be some sort of go-to where we can find out more about you and the work you do, because journalists will want to see that as well. Other people would like to see that, and that's where you can showcase your work. You can put clips of your podcast on there, and if they want to hear the podcast, then you have a link going back to your podcast. Those kind of things you can do as well. I don't want you to spend a huge amount of money, so you could just get a simple one done. We've got good old Nicola here who could do something for you. Look at me selling you, Nicola. This is what we're all here. Use the resources in the room.
Exactly. I would love to. I'll reach out to Nicola for sure.
Yeah. And just to, you know, get some ideas. But brilliant. Listen, I'm going to stop there now because we will have a session so we can explore it in more detail. I will save this chat for you so that you can access that and start researching. We can use some of these in our session together, which will be really good. I've got some plans, so let's explore. Let's be, as long as you're brave, Rushi. As long as you're brave and courageous, let's do this. Good. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure. So who here, before we go, who needs to follow up on anything? Who has not reached out to somebody and probably might need to do that today? Yeah, me too. So this is what I want you to do. Nicola, was that a little hand going up there? Yeah. So this is what I want you to do. Once you've followed up, I'm going to just recap our notes in the profile builder. Once you've followed up, I just literally want you to say done, once you've done it. So I want to make a note. Who said they need to follow up so I can chase? So Caroline, I saw your name, your hand was up. Keith, Jan. I'm going to hold you all accountable because I want to know why you haven't done it, you know. Nicola, I know your hand is down, but it was up. Helen, Anita. Who else? Let me move this out of the way so I can see. Nicola, I've got you. Simone. Don't worry, Simone will be following up. Mercy. Angie. Good. I'm putting myself in because I need to do one today. And it might get me the sale if I just literally send her a message today. Brilliant. Okay, so I've got Nicola, Anita, Helen, Carol, Keith, Jan, Mercy, Simone, and Angie. I've got everyone. And Nicola. Brilliant. Okay, guys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. And we will see you again in, I think it's in a couple of weeks. Anyway, the timetable is in the GTEx profile header, so you can see when the next one is. So thank you, guys. Hope you have a lovely day, and go out, make those phone calls, send that voice note today, and let's do it today because I want to see the word done, 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 all today. Not tomorrow, today. Yeah? Good. See you later, guys. Thank you, Rushi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Appreciate response from everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. You guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Hi, Michelle, is there a recording? I had to work till, I joined 5 minutes ago.
No problem. I've got it. We've got it saved, and we will make it available for you. I'm gonna update the profile border page, and I will add the recording on there.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Take care, my darling.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.